All right, so today we're going to deep dive into this book you sent my way, The Art of Impossible, a peak performance primer by Steven Kotler. Looks like we've got some pretty interesting stuff to unpack here.
Yeah, it seems like it. I mean, I was looking at some of the stuff you sent over, and there are some pretty enthusiastic takes on this book, and then some others that are maybe a little bit more, hesitant.
Yeah, so it seems like there's a lot to dig into. I mean, what's our mission for today? Like, what do we want our listeners to really get out of this?
Well, I think it's important for everyone to hear both sides, kind of what this book is promising, and then maybe some of the realities of putting that into practice.
Okay, let's do that. So let's start with what seems to be, the main idea here. Um, what is this book actually trying to do?
So this book, it kind of sets itself up as like this guide to achieving impossible things, you know? Like really pushing your limits, peak performance, all that jazz.
Like, I can already see how that would appeal to people.
Right.
Everyone wants to be better, get more done.
Right. Exactly. And the book is saying it's giving you the tools, the strategies to actually make that happen. Not just some vague ideas, but real practical steps. And they say it's applicable to like all areas of life too. Work, personal stuff, whatever you're into.
Okay, so there are some pretty big claims being made here. Now, based on what we've seen, what can people potentially see if they really embrace these ideas?
Well, from the more enthusiastic side, you'd be talking about like really understanding how to reach peak performance. Imagine being able to like tap into the super focus and drive more consistently when you need it.
So it's not just about like being good at something. It's about being able to access that high level consistently.
Right. Consistency seems to be a big thing. And it's not just for like extreme situations either. They're saying this can be applied in your daily life too.
And how do they suggest you actually do that?
Well, a big part of it seems to be about this concept of flow. Like when you're totally absorbed in something and time just melts away.
Yeah, I think everyone's had those moments where they're just completely locked in on a task.
Right, exactly. So Kotler breaks down like how to achieve that state more often, which, I mean, that sounds pretty appealing. Being more productive and creative. Sign me up.
Now, you mentioned earlier that not everyone is quite as, on board with all of this.
Yeah, and that's fair. I mean, there are some critiques out there that bring up some good points. Like, can everyone really achieve this?
What do you mean?
Well, like, think about someone who's under a lot of stress. External pressures, deadlines, stuff like that. Is it realistic for them to be able to just switch into this flow state whenever they need to?
Yeah, I mean, life can get pretty chaotic, so that makes sense.
Wow.
And is that the main criticism? Or are there other things that people are pushing back on?
Well, another thing is this whole idea of constantly aiming for peak performance. Is that even sustainable? I mean, what about burnout? You can't always be operating at 110%.
Right, like you need time to recharge and everything.
Right. Exactly. And some folks are wondering if the examples of success in the book, if those are maybe coming from very specific contexts that wouldn't necessarily apply to everyone. Like maybe these people were already kind of predisposed to achieving these things. Maybe the book just helped them along a bit.
Right, that's a really good point. So where does that leave us? Like, what's the takeaway for our listeners?
I think it's about taking a balanced view. I mean, there's no denying this book offers an exciting vision of what we can achieve, pushing boundaries and all that.
Oh,
But it's important to engage with these ideas critically, to think about the practical implications for you. It's like, yeah, reaching for the impossible can be super motivating, but it also needs to be sustainable in the long run.
so it sounds like a lot of this comes down to, self-awareness,
Yeah.
figuring out what works for you as an individual.
Exactly. And maybe asking yourself, like, is the reward worth the effort?
Okay, so it's more nuanced than just go out and achieve the impossible.
Oh, definitely. And I think even the more critical viewpoints would agree that there's value in examining your own limitations, like what you perceive as impossible. Maybe there's more potential there than you realize.
So ultimately, this book is trying to get people to rethink their capabilities.
Yeah, and to recognize that while setting ambitious goals can be powerful, the journey needs to be sustainable.
Okay, so food for thought for our listeners. Thinking about everything we've talked about today, what impossible thing might you reconsider? Is there something that now seems a little more within reach? Maybe something you had written off that now seems, at least a little bit possible? Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks everyone.